Bienvenidos una vez más a este, su programa, Hablemos de Real Estate con Carlos Amaya, donde vamos a relacionar con Real Estate, familia y finanzas en los Estados Unidos. Hoy tenemos un programa muy especial, tenemos un invitado que vamos a hacerlo en inglés, vamos a hacer el cambio en este momento. Él se especializa en comprar negocios con financiamiento del dueño. Entonces, algo muy similar a lo que hacemos en la parte de inversiones en bienes raíces. So, we have a great special guest today. He is someone that is doing something really, really special, which is a business acquisition, and have a really cool angle in terms of like dude owner financing. So stick with us. We're gonna put a very short video, and we're gonna start with our guest in a few seconds. En Hablemos de Real Estate con Carlos Amaya creemos que la familia es la base de la sociedad. Por eso, nuestra misión es proveer información y herramientas a la comunidad latina de cómo lograr la libertad financiera a través de bienes raíces. So usually when you start thinking about like Robert Kiyosaki and the cash quadrant, you just start thinking about like the right side that you want to be on. You want to be either a business owner or you want to be an investor. And here we speak about a lot about real estate, how to get invested in real estate, but it's not the only way. Getting a business is another way to get passive income. And our guest today is going to be telling us how he's doing it right now, and then we're gonna learn about his story, which is an amazing story, and just figure it out if something that we're gonna be able to do ourselves in the future. So for me, it's a pleasure to introduce my good friend Renan. Renan, how are you?
Hey, what's going on, Carlos? Thank you for having me today.
No, thank you for taking the time. So let's start for like, where are you in the world right now? And then we just go back to your story. How did you get into real estate? I'm starting into business. I'm sure uh, eventually you'll do real estate as well. And then just talk about this owner finance, which is super super cool.
Yeah, and lo siento, no puedo hablar español bien, so I'm sorry about that right up front.
Don't worry about it. Don't worry about it.
Yeah, but no, so I mean, I was born and raised in New York, right? I left when I was 20 to join the Army. So I was a combat medic for 12 years, 12 years in the military, ended up in DC. And then now I live in New Jersey. From there, after that, I got into medical device sales. So I was pacemaker rep for Medtronic and Abbott. So I did 15 years of corporate America, and I learned a lot, right? And then it still wasn't satisfying. It wasn't fulfilling me, my why. You know, what's my purpose in life? And so I had this big thing to give back to the community, give back to Puerto Rico, give back to, you know, the people in New York, you know, just anybody that doesn't have the resources to do certain things. So I decided I was going to do something bigger than work corporate America. And I wasn't sure what that looked like. I wanted to start a business, and that's how I came across Cody Sanchez, because I was asking her for investment money. And during my travels in meeting her, she has this wonderful mastermind, and it's all about buying small businesses. And up to, you know, I'm 47 years old, but my whole life, I always thought that buying business was for the big corporations, you know,
Yeah.
Amazon, Microsoft. Yeah.
Before we get there, let's go back to the story, because it's an amazing story. So because it happens to a lot of us. So because we know our stories so well, and we think it's nothing. I mean, we're like, okay, so that happens to me when in terms of my health. In your case, so how did you ended up? So you were born in New York. How did you ended up being in the army? You were there for how long? And after that, how you get into corporate America? I mean, did you study? Because I
Oh,
kind
yeah.
of know I kind of know the story. It's an amazing one. So that's what I wanted to share with you in mind.
No, absolutely. So growing up in New York, I mean, I was my mom, single mom, raised 3 kids. She was a nurse, pediatric nurse, and you know she
And
worked all the time. So I was
What
a
what
latchkey
what,
kid.
what in New York did you
I was
guys
born
live?
in the Bronx, been raised in Queens.
In Queens. Okay, cool.
Yeah. So you know, I had that kind of, you know, it wasn't bad. It wasn't a bad upbringing, but it wasn't the greatest neighborhood either, right?
Sure.
And so you know, I didn't always do the best things as a kid. So at the age of 20, I kind of left New York because I had no direction. You know, I'm the oldest of three.
Oh
And
yeah.
I joined the military where I became a combat medic. And in doing so, I was in the infantry, which is like blue collar in the army. And I didn't have any bigger vision, any bigger motivation. I thought I was just going to be a combat medic, and that was it for me. and I came across some really good mentors that led me to believe I could do whatever I wanted to do. And at first, of course, I don't believe it, because you have to have that belief system, right? And,
Sure.
like people that you look up to. And I didn't really have that. I mean, it was my mom who worked hard. And so I saw that, so if you want more money, just work more hours. If you want more money, get a second job. It was never, the whole rich dad, poor dad thing, right?
Yeah.
It was never use your money to create more money. It was always just work harder, right? And so when I was in the Army, I had a couple of people that convinced me that I could do bigger things in life. And so I took it to the test, and I went back to school, and I got my pre-med degree, because in my mind, I said, if I could do anything I want, then I want to be a doctor.
Okay.
And so I did. I went to pre-med and University of Maryland, and I got my pre-med degree. And at the time, I just didn't want to continue going to school. And so getting out of the Army and going to medical device sales, that's a very lucrative position, because at the time, some of those reps were making more money than a doctor per case, right? I didn't believe it, but once I saw it, I was like, oh, maybe I want to do that, right?
Sure.
And it was because I didn't want to spend all my time in school. But little did I know that going corporate America, I spent all my time doing that.
Yeah.
Dinners, meetings, traveling. And I went from my Army weight of 215, I went all the way up to like 300 pounds. Because I was always working, I got diabetes and just sleep apnea. And it's just, it 15 years of that really did a lot of damage to me. So, yeah.
So how old were you when you left the school and you go to the corporate America? So
yeah, so I was 32.
Were you single? Do you have a family already? How was the process?
So I got married at 21. Had my first kid at 22, got divorced at 25, and then got remarried later on in life, around 30, around 29, 30 years old. And we have 5 kids together total, right? And we've been together 18 years now. Things are wonderful. And that was part of the reason why I didn't want to continue going on to school in my 30s, because I had at the time like 3 kids, and I wanted to spend time with the family. And like I said, if it ended up, I was working all the time anyway. So whether I went to medical school or corporate America, it was the same time commitment. But it was still good, because it gave me a really good quality of life, from a financial perspective. And all the way up until I was 32, I had never broken 6-figure anything in my mind and in my salary. I never thought I could hit that or break that barrier, right? And corporate America, I got to the point where I was making good money as a medical device pacemaker sales rep. And so, I thought that was it. Okay, now I'm a 6-figure guy, and now what do I do? I did 15 years. I won President's Club, which is like the top award you can win in the company. And even then, I wasn't happy. It was the weirdest thing. Yeah.
So let's talk about that. So you said that you went from like a really skinny, you gain a lot of weight, a lot of stress, and a lot of like things that your body obviously was telling you, this is not the right path. But at the same time, you were in front of like making great money. If I'm not wrong, you were the first Latino that they get that position, correct?
Yeah, to win that kind of award, I never really saw a Cortez, an Amaya, a Rodriguez go across that stage. It was very rare. I have never witnessed it. And so it was kind of cool when I won that award. And they take you to a week in Cabo. They give you a really expensive watch. They kind of give you perks for winning that award. And everybody else was happy on the trip. I mean, I brought my wife. We were, they put us in a room that was like $2,000 a night. Yeah. I wasn't happy. It was the weirdest thing. I wasn't happy.
No, I mean, it's not weird. Obviously, you were like, well, no. I forgot to mention that we both in Gobandas, so we know the 6 pillars. So obviously now we understand what you were not happy, because you were only concentrating just one, and you forget about the other pillars, and that's the reason why you were not happy. So that happens to a lot of people making great money, and some of them they don't even make great money. They make decent money. Sometimes they don't even make enough money, but they're unhappy. But they stay there for the next 40 years, and when they die, say, you know what, I wish I would have done something different. So what was the decision that you decided to make, and how did that happen? Because you were like in a comfort zone, making great money, Obviously, your health wasn't the greatest, but sometimes you try to cover up. I provided for my family.
That's right.
I made the house. That's my role. And if it has to be that way, be it. In your case, what was the different? What was the mind switch that happened for you to say, you know what, I don't want to be doing this for forever.
Well, the big thing when I won the award, I mean, in corporate America, there's probably 2%, 3% Latinos, right?
Okay.
So then they started coming up to me like, Renan, how'd you do it? How did you win this award? What did you do? What steps? And so I felt a sense that started getting me to feel the purpose of, oh, wow, I could really give back I have some knowledge that I could give back now, right? And really, try to help other people get into that position. And then around the same time, Hurricane Maria hit the island. I'm half Puerto Rican, half Filipino, right? So Hurricane Maria hits, devastation. The power went out, the grid went out for a long time, months, almost a year.
Yeah.
And people like Lin-Manuel Miranda, Jennifer Lopez, they were sending millions of dollars of aid to the island. And I started thinking, I don't have millions of dollars, but I do okay. I should do something. I could do something. So I flew to the island and to see what I could invest in, maybe property, whatever. And I've never invested before in my life. So I went down there to understand better what I could do. And that's what got me thinking about starting a business there. And so I put a whole thing together, how to start a business. I was going to do a cannabis business in Puerto Rico. And along that travel, I realized that I'm not good with entrepreneurship because I'm good at corporate, mature businesses, negotiating, running a team, contracts, things like that. But starting something, I've never done it. Yeah. And investors told me that. They said, Renan, you seem very green when it comes to starting a business. So I used my GI Bill from the Army and I went to University of Maryland and I got my MBA. And that's when I was like, oh, now I understand what they're talking about. So if I have a weakness, I try to strengthen it with some kind of resource. So It was during my MBA course where my professor said I should reach out to Cody Sanchez because she has a cannabis fund. Reached out to Cody Sanchez and on LinkedIn on a Tuesday. And I saw that she posted that Thursday she was doing a happy hour in Austin. So I flew from New Jersey to Austin just to meet her. And I wrote her an email. And so I show up in Austin and she goes, you're that crazy son of a bitch that flew down from New Jersey just for a happy hour.
That's me.
I was like, yeah. And she goes, that's taking action. Yeah, let's talk. So, the size of the business I wanted to do was a little bit too small because she's used to putting in like 50 million, 100 million. It wasn't that big, right? But while I was there, I met other people that were in the business of buying businesses, right? Yeah. And that's the first time I ever heard that you could do that without being a corporate entity. So that started, I didn't change my mind immediately, but I started thinking about it. A couple of months later, November 2021, she's holding her very first mastermind meeting, right? It was called Contrarian Thinking. That's what it was called, Contrarian Thinking Mastermind. So I flew down there, and I didn't fly down there to learn about it. I flew down there because there were more high net worth individuals that were on the speaker panel. So I was going to pitch them the idea. One of the guys there was David Osborne. All right. Okay. So that's when I first knew who David Osborne was. Rock Thomas was there. They had Alex Duran. There were a bunch of great speakers. I met Ryan Snow. But while I'm in that room of very successful people, and they were all talking about their different ways that they got financial freedom. And the main theme was they all bought a cash flowing business. Okay. So David Osborne gets off the stage and I ask him if he's interested. I have a cannabis play. Would you be interested in investing? And he said, do you even care about cannabis? I was like, whoa. Why? He goes, why are you doing this? I said, because I want to support a mentorship foundation on the back end that helps military veterans, women in business, minority founders that don't have the resources to start their business. He goes, then why cannabis? I said, because I could see how it could generate a lot of revenue. He goes, buy a cash flowing business, and because you'll have much more success in doing that. And for some reason, the way he said it, it just made it just kind of like, aha, it was so much sense. And that, and in conjunction with Ryan Snow and Cody Sanchez and you hear that message over and over. It's like, hello, So November 2021, I changed my business thesis. I spent 2 years trying to start cannabis, and I kind of put that away. I lost money on it, right? Because I put a lot of money into the process. But then I started looking at buying a business.
Yeah,
And
and that's great. I'm sorry to stop you there,
yeah,
because first of all, you took massive action. You went from New Jersey to Austin. You went to a room. There are people like that are advanced,
yes,
and I'm not saying that they're smarter. They're just advanced in the business world. And then you pay attention because I heard so many stories. People say, you know what? They don't know. I know the business. I know the plan. I've been working for 2 years. I'm already spent money. So I don't want to lose what the money that I spent. In your case, we're like, these guys are smart like crazy, and business wise, they're successful. They're all pretty much telling me the same. So you listen and you took action. So while all of this was happening, you still were doing the W2, correct?
yes, I'm still in the medical device space doing W-2. Yes.
Okay. So what happened next? So you say, okay, I might not be in the right track. I already spent money, time, and effort, and I already have a dream. I have
Yeah.
this business, so now I have to, pretty much have to kill it. And then I just figured out what to do next. So
Yeah. So,
how did that go? And how do you make peace with it?
I was just about to say, there's a fine line between just kind of going after every opportunity, because I've seen that also, where people say, "Oh, I've made a lot of money doing crypto. Oh, crypto. Oh, I made a lot of money doing real estate. Oh, no, real estate." You have to make a real educated. Yeah, you have to really think through the whole process, right? So I thought about it for about a month. I thought about it. I just kind of got back to New Jersey, and then it just made so much sense that I signed up for Cody's Mastermind, and so I decided I was in. I'm not going to do cannabis anymore. I'm going to be in on this. And then I also, because I remember the experience I had with starting a business and needing my MBA.
Mm.
So this is kind of like, in my mind, a micro private equity kind of deal, like where you're buying businesses. So I enrolled in Columbia Business School for private equity and venture capital. If I'm going to do it, I'm going to do it, right? So that was a year-long program that I did, and it was very beneficial. I learned a lot. And during that, so I'm working my W-2, I'm going to Columbia, and I'm looking for businesses. And I have
Okay.
5 kids, right?
Okay.
So I'm doing all that. But in my mind, I'm like, this is going to be a payoff. There's going to be a payoff. There's going to be a payoff. I have to keep reminding myself, as long as you keep, and this is something I know from sales, as
Sure.
long as you keep doing the right thing, return on investment is going to come. If you do things that won't bring the ROI, then yeah, you're just kind of spinning your wheels for no reason. But if you're doing all the things that all the people before you have done with great success, you will in turn have great success as long as you are consistently doing it. So I started looking at biz buy sell. I started looking at all these businesses and just like starting to learn how to read income statements, P&L, balance sheets, cash flows, understanding what SDE, EBITDA, all that stuff.
Sure.
And because it's a different language, finance is a different language. But so I got my mind wrapped around that. I looked at frozen yogurt. I looked at dance studios. I was going to buy a dry cleaning operation, and then I found an $8 million business. I did off-market deal sourcing. So because Biz Buy Sell didn't have the greatest leads because it's all brokers, right? So I found an off-market business, and I negotiated really good terms with the owner, and I took it over January 1st of this year. Yeah.
Okay. So, okay. Again, super nice, super fast. Let's go. Let's go back. That's what happens, because it's just stories. So for you, like, that's fine. That's easy. I just found it, negotiated, and I'm running it. Okay, so let's go back. So you joined. So you took action. You said, you know what, the cannabis is not what I have to put on my effort right now. You went back to school, which takes time and effort and money because
Yeah.
you have to be committed. At the same time, you join a mastermind, Cody Sanchez. And I guess over there, it's one of her specialties is just okay. You have to acquire businesses and you start looking for one, you get a broker, go looking through a broker, and you realize everybody looking at the same list as at the same businesses.
Yeah.
So I want my own. How do you start looking for your like off market brokers? I'm
Yeah.
still talking about real estate, off market deals, which is the same off market businesses for sale. Where did you have like a database? You get like an area you farm it. How did you find the person, and how did you know that person was ready, willing, and able to sell?
Yeah, no, you could do this a number of different ways. You could get a VA, you could cold call yourself, you could do web scrapers. Along my Google travels, kind of researching things, I came across this guy, David Collinson. and he does off-market deal sourcing. He has a whole team that does it. He cold calls. They do about 100 calls a day on your behalf.
Okay.
And what he does, he actually speaks to the owner, gets all the information, and gives you a warm lead. So now you're not doing the cold call. You already have some information. So now you're just kind of seeing if you're a fit. And at that point, now it's up to me, right?
Sure.
So in that process, I had a dry cleaner on the hook that I found through Biz Buy Sell. I had 10% money down, 70,000, because it was going to go for 700,000.
Okay.
I had 70,000 for a down payment, and I was going to finance the rest through SBA, which was a nightmare because SBA, they are so strict. I mean, they give
it's the government
capital. Yeah, it's cheap capital, right? So the interest rates are going to be lower. The terms are going to be better, but they want to be sure that the deal is good. So they ask for some, and also I was paying a lot of money in fees for no reason. Like I did my due diligence. They wanted me to pay for their due diligence. I get it. You know, they want a third party, you know, so it was a long drawn out. It was like 10 months long and it kept dragging out on when we're going to close. And I'm glad that it took that long because in the process, I also found, like I said, off market, I found this company. And I never thought I would be able to take it down because I didn't have a down payment for that, for an $8 million business. But, so, you know, I wanted to see what it was like. It's kind of like when you see a $10 million house for sale and you want to go to the open house just to see what a $10 million house looks like. So that's why I checked it out. Yeah.
So you reached out to the seller. Was a warm lead. That person already expressed some interest that he was going to wanted to sell. You're brand new to the business. I mean, you have a lot of experience in corporate, but not buying businesses or running a business, that kind of business. So how did the conversation go, and how did you create rapport with that person to be able to get to the negotiating table?
Yeah, and that's exactly it. So it wasn't like day one I came in and said I want 100% seller finance. That's not how it went. It was, look, I'm very interested in this company. I would love to do due diligence. So we signed NDAs, and then I would meet on a Saturday, you know, over coffee. I would look at the financial statements. I would see how the operation went. And it was a very strong profit margin. It was like 40 to 50% profit margins.
What kind of business was it?
It's a water remediation company.
And is it close to where you are in Jersey?
Yeah, it's like 25 minutes from where I live.
Oh, cool. Very nice.
But the thing is, I hired an operator that runs it full time for me. So, you know, like I took it over January 1st, and for an entire week in January, I went to Tahoe with GoBundance and didn't answer my phone at all. But the business was going because they don't need me to run the business.
Yeah, so that's amazing. But let's go back again. So tonight when you go to sleep, let's go back again. So you create rapport, coffees, and everything. You realize, okay, this is a cool business, and the margins are great. How do you negotiate the seller finance? How do you come up with the money? Because you have your $70,000 tie in the laundry and the dry cleaner business. So what happened with that money, and then how did you fund this business, and how were you able to convince the seller to say, you know what, let's do a seller finance, and instead of most likely when you want to sell something, either a house or a business, you're expecting a large amount of money and just getting out of the business, and that's it.
So here's a question. You and I met the holiday party for GoBundance, right?
Yes, sir.
And since then, we've seen each other 6 times, right?
Yeah, yes.
All right, so that's over a period of 4 months. Now, let's say it was 6 times over a period of a month and a half. We have a pretty good rapport, pretty good relationship. You kind of sensed my strengths and weaknesses. I kind of understand yours. So now when we get to the point and I say, hey, look, you know, I really want to buy your business. Here's the thing. I don't have a down payment that'll cover what a conventional loan would take. Your immediate reaction would be like, whoa, did you just waste my time?
I was going to say that if I was trying, when you were doing the scenario and the role play, I was putting myself in his role. Okay. I said, so, okay, that's great. I really like you. Like you said, we've been meeting like 6 times already. We play pool one day. So it's great. You were in my mastermind. Oh, come on. I mean, so you, all of this, like you date me and you're not going to marry. I mean, so.
Well, no, you see, that's the thing. I'm not going to leave you hanging on this. Have you ever thought about being my bank? And then they're like, what do you mean? Yeah. So look, we could structure this in a way so that everybody wins except the bank. What do you mean? You know, because now they're like, what do you mean? Because most of the people think that if you're going to do something like this, you have to take a bank loan.
Definitely.
That's not true. I mean, yeah, when you go to buy a car, that's the thing. You finance it. You know, you buy a house, you finance it, right? Unless you get, because I don't know any creative terms for buying a house, right? But On this one, literally, as long as you come up with terms that you and I agree upon, anything is possible. That's what I love about this.
Yeah, no,
So I showed him.
and you going back to the house is the same model. I mean, exactly the same. If the house, if you have a house that's pay off, and we don't have to go through the bank, you can do seller finance. Usually it's like
Yeah,
5 year term with the balloon. It's pretty much
there you
pretty
go.
much. I don't know the terms about we're gonna get into it right now, but it's pretty much the same. So it's the
Yeah,
seller can do if they don't have a mortgage on it.
that's right. See, yeah, and it's all right. So a house is because you could have that collateralized, right? So you could always take back the house if you default. Businesses are different because the assets are different. Not, so there's not $8 million worth of assets. A lot of it is considered goodwill,
Yep,
name brand, and customer base.
and
But
projection.
that's further down. We'll talk about that.
Okay.
But I pretty much highlighted. I said, look, $8 million. I could give you a check for $8 million. What are you going to do with it? You're going to lose 40% to taxes, 35% to tax, or whatever, right? It's hard to take all that money in unless you have another vehicle to put it in, some kind of tax deferred vehicle. It's going to be tough.
And people,
Wouldn't you
people,
rather?
people don't realize that. People like, okay, so what's gonna happen? And
Yeah,
then
that's what I'm saying. So here, you want to go do your thing. Now, what if I were to tell you I could give you a good payment for the next 10, 12 years? A really good payment where you're getting interest also. Can you do that? Yes, we can. And just so that after the entire 12 years, let's set a APR, let's set a percentage or whatever. If you ride with me and you are my bank, you're going to get $3.8 million above the 8. So I'm really giving you 11.8. Just by not going to Chase and getting that bank loan, I am giving you the interest payments. And so that's, because right now it's kind of risky, like, oh, but I'm paying you for your risk,
mm,
$3.8 million. I'd rather give it to you than give it to Chase Bank.
yep,
Now, the question I have for you, Carlos, do you think I could run this business successfully? And then at that point, you're like, well, yeah, I mean, you've had success in the past. You've
yes,
had a successful career. This is not a hard business. It's strong model. I don't think you're going to run it to the ground. Well, there you go.
okay,
And then here's the better thing. Now, in 2 years, I could go ahead and refinance this from you and then use a bank, and then you're off the hook. But I guarantee you, in 2 years, you're going to like the interest payments coming in. So you're going to be okay. You're going to take this all the way to the end.
yeah,
Um,
because
and that's where we are.
you always see the other side of the coin. And a business owner, what will they say? Sell usually because they want extra time, because they want they burn down. They don't want to deal with the business anymore. But at the same time, they have to utilize the money to do something else. So here you kill the two birds with one stone, because they say, yeah, that's fine. I'll take it away from you. I'll buy it. But at the same time, you become my bank, and you're gonna make profit out of the interest they're gonna pay to the bank. So it's like a win-win all around.
All the way
I
around.
mean,
The only people that lose is the bank, honestly, and I don't care about that. I really don't care. And if anything, believe it or not, because of what happened to Silicon Valley Bank, more people are doing deals with me on seller financing than getting up, because it's getting very hard to get a bank loan. So this is actually helping my whole cause. Yeah.
perfect. So people say that you're getting lucky. No, lucky is when the opportunity meet with the preparation, and you've been
Yeah.
preparing yourself, and the opportunity comes now. So okay, so the guy said, I'm the seller. I said, okay, do you know what makes sense? You're a nice guy, smart, and you show me something that is appealing to me. You get in the business off my hand, which I don't want to deal with it anymore. And at the same time, you pay me a good amount of money, and they're gonna get
Yeah.
the interest. So how does it go from there? What kind of down payment did you have to did you give me at that time? Zero. So no down payment. So okay. And so pretty much you're gonna be paying me out of my own business, my old business that you're gonna run, and then you, I mean, obviously you're gonna run it. You have to do the work, and then
Right.
you're gonna pay me out of that. You're gonna pay me out of it, correct?
Yes.
Out of the proceeds. Okay.
Yeah. And so the way the numbers work out, so I'm very transparent and honest. I mean, when I was corporate America, I was making like 350 to 450,000 a year.
Sure.
This company minus debt service, so it generates like 2.5 million net, minus the debt service, paying the loan, clearing about 1.3, 1.5.
Okay.
And then I reinvest some of that money back into, getting more efficient technology processes, my operator,
That was
and
gonna
it
be my
still does really well.
no, definitely. So that's gonna be my next question. So, where did you get the operator? Because one of the things that I heard, and so many people think, okay, I want to get business and everything, and they start thinking about the franchises, and they start thinking like, okay, I'm gonna open my own business, and they're gonna be working there 80 hours a week. But they get burned again. So, how did you get the operator? And ideally, when you buy a real estate transaction, you want to do like an added value. You want to make it better. So that way, so
Yes.
how do you do that with the business?
So I added efficiencies of an ERP, right?
Okay.
Like a cloud-based system to put all the files.
Mhm.
I implemented technology. There's a camera that helps us with looking at the reconstruction at the property losses. Um, oh my gosh, I'm blanking on. I implemented ADP, for the back office for the supply.
Yeah.
I increased the benefits. I put in 401k. So it's things like that I've implemented so far. It's been just 3.5 months, but things are already working way more efficient.
And where did you get the operator?
So I got him out of my own network. He did the MBA course with me. But
Okay.
let's say I didn't find him there. I mean, basically, it would just be Indeed, ZipRecruiter. I would hire a headhunter and say, "This is what I need," and then
Okay.
just kind of vet them out as being a general manager and just pay them a fair market salary.
Yeah, because I always like to make like parallels. If you realize a business like a house, so maybe that was an outdated house, an outdated business that needed to be up to date in technology. That's pretty much what it sounds like it.
Yeah,
And that's what I see the added value or the opportunity for you where you're doing right now. Just getting businesses that people that they don't want that anymore, or they just see the opportunity they want to sell it now, and then at the same time you as a new owner say, you know what, I can just make it up to just apply everything they learn in corporate, and then just use
yeah.
all the technology and make it more profitable, and that
Right.
way it's a win-win for everybody, correct?
That's exactly right. I implemented a CRM, an ERP. We started EOS, and these are a lot of acronyms. So I don't want to offend anybody, but so ERP is enterprise resource planning. It just kind of helps you put everything together for your specific trade. Like for HVAC and plumbing, they use Service Titan. For here and water mitigation, it's called Accelerate. So it's just a really good platform with everything. A
how
CRM, yeah,
how many and then they'll talk about EOS in a second, but how many employees do you have?
33.
33. Does it come with any like real estate? You have like trucks? I mean, do you have like any assets?
Yeah, 7 trucks and a bunch of equipment to do the jobs. Yeah.
Okay. And how about real estate? They have like their own.
No.
No, so not
And to
real
be
estate.
perfectly honest, even if it did come with the real estate, that would be good if you're getting an SBA loan because you could get a loan out to like 25, 30 years, right? Because there's
Yeah.
real estate involved. But the way I do my deals, I rather not have real estate and just pay a lease
Okay.
because all I want is the business. I want the business and that's it. I don't want the real estate.
Okay, so you took over the business day one. You got your operator. The company's been running for I don't know how many years, like
15.
15 years. They have the culture. They have the way of doing things. You came here, brand new guy. I mean, brand new for them, and you have a new operator. So how was the transition? Did you keep all the employees? Are what happened
Yeah.
with the clients? So some of the customers are loyal with the old that had relationship with the previous owner. So how did that go? Because I'm just trying to put myself in your shoes, and what will I encounter if I get a business? Because that's what happens usually, like,
See, and that's going to be different for everybody because that's going to depend on you, the owner, right?
sure,
Me, I'm used to having teams. I know that I'm pretty good people person. Like from the Army, even through corporate America, I was like regional manager, area manager. I was a sales coach, so I'm good with people and sharing the vision, right?
sure,
So the transition here was actually pretty good. I mean,
okay,
within a short frame of mind, everybody was. But so like we were mentioning EOS, right?
yeah,
We sat down and we developed our mission, our vision. We defined our core values. We started from the basic building blocks of what a company is like, and now everybody's kind of like, all on board with everything and trying to grow this into the next level.
very nice. So you say, okay, I had it, okay, and those $8 million, is that, I mean, are you personally guaranteed that amount of money, or it's like non-recourse when you get like a commercial loan?
Non-recourse, yeah. So
Non-recourse.
let's say I can't make my payments, whatever I try to do, like an emergency loan, or I take whatever heroic measures to salvage. If I can't, then I just give them the keys back and the company's back to theirs. Yeah.
After theirs, okay, absolutely. That's not what we want to happen. So
Yeah, no. And all the time, I'm making payments. So I mean, I've already made 4 payments this year. So they're doing
sure,
pretty good.
cool. So you do that, and you say, okay, for like obviously you mentioned your background a couple of times. You'd be just to have like different teams and run it. You don't have to be like a hands-on. You oversee the operation, and somebody else, meaning like someone like me, I would like, okay, so I have to make sure that this thing works because it's $8 million. My family future might depend of it. But now you went and went and bought more businesses. How did that go?
Yeah, so now, I mean, because I had a bunch on my deal sheet, because I was looking for off-market stuff. So now I'm trying to get anything that makes sense, that's a vertical or horizontal integration to this platform. And so now things are getting fun. Actually, this morning I met with an HVAC guy that I'm buying his business. 100% seller financing, same deal.
Okay.
And believe it or not, once you do it once, it gets easier because now you can say, oh, I bought this 100%.
You have a track record, so you have like special, and that's something super smart that you just mentioned. I want to point that out. Just buy something within the same ecosystem, so it's not like
right.
you got that kind of business, and okay, now I'm gonna open a restaurant, a Puerto Rican restaurant. So and I want like nothing to do with it. So you want to try to hopefully try to just be in the same, so you can just feature businesses. Most likely, that is that the idea.
Yeah, no. So actually, because I did this and I'm seeing the success I'm having with buying these businesses, I started imagining what would happen if I had capital to put down. Like, let's say I say instead of 100%, I say, Carlos, I'll give you 2.4 million in your hand right now, and we'll finance the rest. You would say, oh, okay, right?
So,
I mean,
so with that in mind, I assume that with that you will have more leverage in terms of the price. So it might not be 8. It might not be 8, it might be less because it's less of a risk. Because
that's exactly right. I would get it at a more efficient multiple. I would get it at a better bargain. I could make better negotiations. So yeah, that's what led me down this path. And so I started a private equity fund where I'm raising $100 million to do a national roll up. And I'm looking at businesses across the nation to just within the same umbrella of water mitigation and disaster restoration. Yeah.
Okay, so you have the list. Obviously, you said you got one, but you got more than one that you've been looking at it. So you start approaching them, and it's like a numbers game. Obviously, not everybody's gonna say yes. Not everybody.
Well, now people are approaching me. It's funny.
No, they're approaching you. Yes, and so it seems that that's been working really well. So now you said, you know what, I want better terms. I'm gonna get the capital. So how did that come up to issue? How do you make it happen, and how does that work? And I know how it works. When you collect, just raise the money, and then you start buying business, and just give the use the profit to the whatever kind of distribution that you agree to. But how did you? I mean, how did you make that reality in such a short amount of time?
So it's kind of funny by being in the room. So this goes back to being in the room, right?
Yeah.
So being in Cody's mastermind, I met Ben Anderson and Phil Caprone, GoBundance guys.
Yeah.
They wanted to know how I got this business. And they reached out to me on Zoom. I didn't know who they were. I mean, I knew who Phil was, but I didn't know what GoBundance was. And they said, you need to be part of this group. So, they explained what it was. I met John Edwin, because I'm in New Jersey. Well, yeah. And I joined GoBundance. And that was just December of last year. I had just joined. And then through that, I met Richard Wilson. And, it's just I've been meeting a lot of good people by being in the room. And Phil Caprone, a GoBundance guy, he kind of described on how to set up a fund, because you try to look it up online and it's all kinds of, you get all kinds of different information, but he actually did it. He did something called Mission Capital. He raised $10 million for real estate. Right.
Okay.
So, he put me in touch with his SEC lawyer. I reached out to him, paid money, and I got a fund started, a Regulation D 506C. And, so I'm getting that coordinated. And then I joined through Richard Wilson. I joined Family Office Club, and that's where I was yesterday in New York. I was at investor meetings where you have all these family offices worth 100 million or more in one room, right? And so they think that my investment thesis is very exciting. As soon as it's approved through the SEC, which should be within a week, I start collecting checks, and then I could use that money to buy businesses. And
how will that work? Okay, let's say. I'm representing a family office. I have my own capital that I want to invest. It is a fan, so it won't get triggered. I mean, you will not be using my capital until you find a business. Obviously, right now you have a list of businesses. Okay,
correct.
Okay, so What kind of terms are you giving them? Like you say, when you buy multifamily is like 5 to 7. How do you present it for them to be appealing? Obviously, the level of risk is higher, so I guess they're expecting a higher return.
Yes and no. Yes and no. Yeah, it is a higher return than real estate for sure.
Sure.
The way, and it's very simple terms. So for the first 10 million, it has really good terms for the investor because I'm trying to, make it an incentive. I'm trying to incentivize them to be the first investors in because I've never done a fund before. And I'm front loading the businesses that I do have. I'm front loading it in, so I already have the assets. So it's not that much of a risk, right?
Okay.
But basically, what I'm doing is I'm giving 10% preferred returns, right?
Wait. When you said that I didn't get the word. So the one that you already bought, you're gonna pay this guy through this money, and then you're gonna make it through the
I'm
fund.
gonna. So let's say, so this company that I have right now. Let's say you wanted to invest, you could buy into the company right now. Now you own equity, right? So
Okay.
now you're going to get 10% preferential preferred returns,
Okay.
distributions every month on the money that you invested. So you're going to get 10% of that every month, a distribution check. And then
Okay.
5, 6, 7 years down the line, when there's an exit event, you are going to get 75% of the carry of the enterprise value, and
Sure.
that's exponential. Yeah, I financially modeled where it will be 30 to 45% IRR and about a 5x multiple of invested capital. And
Okay.
like I said, so I went to Columbia Business School. I showed it to the professors. I showed it to other private equity fund managers. I showed them the model, and they were like, "That's it." So I vetted it out. It's not something I just kind of made up in my mind. I
That's
mean, I
right.
kind of put it together, and I kind of and then I refined it over time. But I
Sure.
showed it to so many people, and they said that is the model.
Sure.
So
So it's one fund, and it is all bunch of businesses, correct?
yes,
Or you're gonna say, you know what? Let's say the business is worth 10 million, and I'm putting 5, and you get 5 by somebody else. It's only the two of us in that business. How do you divide it? Because it's only one fund and then all those businesses.
well, it's going to be based on the tranche that you're in. Meaning, like if you're in the first 10 million, then I already have the businesses allocated to that first tranche, and then whenever that gets exited, then there's the percentage from each of those. Yeah, that's
So
how
it's,
it's going to be tracked. It's going to
it's
be
first,
tracked on the back end. Yeah,
so it's first come first serve. Like the first 10 million, any business that we
that's right. And
acquire.
you're going to get 75% investor carry, and
Hmm.
then after from 10 to 25 million, it's going to be 60% on exit and 8% pref distributions on a monthly. And then after from 25 million to 100 million, it's going to be 50-50 on exit and 8% pref on a monthly basis.
Okay.
And then from there, I actually spoke to people yesterday, and we're kind of discussing making it an evergreen fund, and different structures that way. But it's a powerful investment vehicle. There's a lot of people that are waiting for this thing to be done through the SEC, so
Sure.
that and then this thing. I mean, I've modeled it out. I
Mm,
mean, if I deploy 100 million and I get the assets that I'm looking for,
mm.
and I get up to 100 million in EBITDA in about 5-6 years, I could, as long as they're all on the same SOP, ERP, they have EOS across the board, so the messaging is the same, it's under the
Mm.
same brand. I put a nice little bow on it, and I could sell it to big private equity for about 1.5 billion.
Oh,
Yeah, those are the real numbers. That's the real modeling, and that's why this is an exciting time. And this came out of nowhere. I mean, I wasn't in the market to do that. I was in
no,
the
no.
market to just buy a business.
I'm just trying to just to do the timeline
I think that's the first time. I think I even told you about the exit, isn't it?
oh
Um,
yes, the first time, the first time,
yeah,
yeah. And talking about like the timeline in terms of like cannabis and Puerto Rico a couple of years ago, and now you're dealing with these numbers. So
yeah,
so when sometimes you hear people say, you know what, it's gonna take 10, 20, 30 years, to be able to build something uh spectacular like this. It's not really true. I mean, we heard in Govanas all the time. People do crazy things in 2 3 years. I mean, that doesn't happen all the time, and you have to have the preparation. It's not like if someone listen to this or watching right now, I'm gonna be able to build this out of nowhere. I mean, you have to have the experience and the knowledge, and I mean,
that's right.
obviously, you have experience in sales and all those things. That's what I think. Someone said it all the time, but like I don't know who said it recently. Like overnight success. I mean, you've been doing this for I don't know how many years, like
No,
15 years.
I mean, I've had a certain path my entire life, and now the thing that I'm doing to give back to the community, um, because there's several masterminds that teach you how to buy a business. They talk about it all the time, right? what I'm doing is I'm setting up an academy. So then, let's say, somebody wants to come and buy a business, they don't know how. They could be part of the mastermind to learn how, but what I'm doing is I'm setting up an academy to help them be a better operator, to learn how to read the P&Ls, how to do everything, CEO mentoring and coaching, things like that.
Sure.
Because I want to help them use my equity to put them into a business. So let's say they're looking, the same thing. They're looking at a $500,000 business, but I could put them in a $10 million business, but they don't have the money to do that. I could use the fund to I could put down $3 million. They get into the business. I put the academy around them. So now they have weekly coaching, things like that. There's like a whole designated academy curriculum, and that's me protecting the investment. And then after 5 years, one of two things could happen. Either they could buy me out of my equity position, or they could include their business in the roll-up and they get a piece of the exit. And then they buy another business or whatever, along 5 years, maybe they buy 2 or 3 more businesses. So I want to help people do stuff like that.
So you will be training your partners.
Yeah, that's exactly right. Because, something that's like the biggest thing that I see. They want to buy a business, but now here's the problem. Once you buy the business, you have to run the business, or you have to have somebody to, and so you want to do it properly. You don't want to be irresponsible. You don't want to just buy something and then have it do that. So that's why I developed this whole thing where, we put an academy and help people understand how to run a business better, more effectively, strategies and things like that. And it'll be subsidized. If you make less than a certain amount of money, I'll pay for it.
Okay. So business acquisition, the fan, and academy. I mean, that's a lot of things. I mean, just one by itself is a lot of. So how do you manage the time, and how do you leverage? Like, you have like a team, you have people as like what kind of, like, how did you, because that's one of the things that the same thing, like the shiny object syndrome that you said. The other one is the overwhelm. You get everything and then you get burned. Okay, so who's gonna be doing all of this? And then you're lucky, and you're not doing that. I'm not saying that that's gonna happen to you. I'm just curious, how do you handle all of it? They're doing it so fast at the same time.
I'm at that point right now. I need to start building on a team. That's exactly that. And the thing is, so it's like I'm at that point of getting my fund through SEC, so I could get investor money, so I can start paying people to be the team. So I'm right at that balance. And the next 2 months are going to be very interesting, because once I get the first, because my minimum check is $100,000, right? So let's say I get a couple of those checks in, I can start paying people to be on the team. There's going to be management fees, acquisition fees. I could use that money to hire people to help me with due diligence, to help me with operations, to help me with, things that I need help with. But right now it's just me. And it's fine. I mean, I quit my W-2 back in November to do this. So I do this full time. So I have all the time in the world to do that. Well, not all the time in the world, but
let's talk about vision. So what would be your ideal vision? Like, best case scenario, like everything goes according to the plan. So how big will that get? And how do you see yourself like in 5 years?
5 years. One of the first things I want to do, one of the first goals, I want to dedicate a pediatric ICU ward to my mom. She passed within the last year. She was a pediatric nurse her whole life. And so she gave me the $70,000 to buy the dry cleaner. And
what happened with those 70? We haven't heard the story. What happened with the 70,000?
Oh, so it's still in the bank. I never used it. I never. So I had it set aside for a down payment, but I killed that deal because I took this company instead. Right. I was done dealing with the SBA.
But it's not like you put like a down payment or a binding contract and you just walk out of it. And
I put $5,000 earned earnest deposit, and I got that back because I didn't go forward with everything. So
Okay.
So the contingency was upon closing that it'll be applied to the final purchase price. But since we didn't close, they gave it back to me. But I did lose money on like diligence and different bank fees and things like that.
And time and effort and everything else. Okay, so you would like to do that. In terms of like the size of a team.
Oh no, yeah. So that's the first thing I want to do, and then the second thing, let's say we do the $1.5 billion exit or whatever, right? I would love to hire a bunch of hard charging financial minds from like big schools or whatever, right? So that they can actually run it like a Carlyle Group, kind of like a Blackstone or a KKR, come in, and then maybe I could start doing true blue venture capital. Maybe I could start doing different projects. I have a big project for Puerto Rico that I'm working on right now that I can't really talk about, but there's, You know, that's a vision. And then retire. I take a seat on the board. I will never truly retire because this is too fun. You know, but you know, I'm not going to be on the day-to-day grind. I'll take a seat on the board. I'll let this be for the next generation, right? Maybe my kids, maybe my partner's kids, whatever. And it'll just be a generational vehicle of creating wealth. And then on a byproduct of that, which is the main idea for this whole thing, is to have a mentorship academy where we can help people without having to go get their MBA, without having to do everything, but, you know, trying to realize their dreams. Maybe they want to start a coffee shop. You shouldn't have to get your MBA to start a coffee shop. And a lot of people start coffee shops anyway, but they could be more efficient in doing that. So I want to be able to help them. And to be perfectly honest, I mean, talent is distributed everywhere, but opportunity is not, right? If you would have seen me in my 20s, there's zero chance anybody would invest in me. Zero. Because I wasn't that, you know, I wasn't polished. I was a kid from Queens, New York that was just kind of, you know, doing whatever I wanted. There's talent everywhere. And I just want to have a mentorship academy or just an outreach program to help as many people as I can that don't always get the opportunity. So that's what I want to do. Yeah.
Sounds like fun. I mean, sounds like it's going to be great. The next 12 months, how do you see yourself in the next 12 months?
Ooh, the next 12 months, I see 7, 8, 9 businesses.
A lot of action.
Yeah, no, I mean, already the first 4 months have been like that. Since I met you, it's been like literally a blink of an eye, and a lot of things have happened. And so I could only imagine what the next, you know, 8 or 9 months will look like. But yeah, I'm excited to see what it is. But I definitely have a plan forward.
Definitely. So let's talk about like I always like to make a couple of questions to learn to get to know you as a person. Obviously, we can see, I mean, the angle and everything, like the strength in terms of business. But what are your hobbies? I mean, when you are not just like evaluating businesses, talking with investors, meeting with attorneys for the documents, and do everything, sounds great for someone that likes that. What would you do for your like kind of free time, if there is any free time right now, for like your hobbies?
I'm doing it tonight. I do it most nights. I fight. That's what I do. I do jiu-jitsu. I do Muay Thai. Yeah.
You do Muay Thai?
Yeah.
That's a lot of work. I mean, I tried once, like a couple of months. I mean, I tried a couple of years ago. I did it for like a few months. That's a intense workout.
Yeah, I coach jiu-jitsu, Muay Thai. I train with the team, all that. Yeah.
So when the seller doesn't want to sell, so you do the
No, it's a great stress relief, you know, because you let all your frustrations out at the gym. It's
nice.
I'm like, for real, tonight at 7:00, I'm going to be in the gym training tonight. So
nice. And you've been doing it for how long?
17 years.
17 years. Oh man, good. It's pretty nice.
Yeah, I started in 2006 when I was 30 years old. I started.
Pretty cool. Can you recommend us a book, and a book, a movie, or a series? So two, either one book, a movie, or a series.
The Private Equity Playbook by Adam Coffey is a really, if you're into private equity, if you're into reading about like that, Tribe of Millionaires I just read, and as you could imagine, that was actually a really good book. It was
because it's an amazing story. It's an entertaining story. Yeah,
it was way more interesting than I thought it would be. I wasn't sure what to expect when I went into it, and it was kind of funny because I read it on my way to Tahoe. I read half of it there on the plane, and I read the other half on the way back, and I was like, "Oh my God, this is for real!" And then I look in the back, and I'm like, "I met half of these people," you know. So that was an amazing book. And Wealth Can't Wait, David Osborne. That's another great one. Yeah. So
nice.
Yeah.
How about a movie or a series? I don't know if you're watching any TV at all, but any movie series?
Lately I'm watching Succession on HBO.
Oh yeah.
I really like that. Succession is a great show. So that's my latest thing right now. Yeah. And before it was Last of Us, but that thing ended. You know, the season ended, but it was Last of Us.
I watched with my daughter too as well.
Yeah, Last of Us and Succession. Yeah.
Yes,
and my wife and I, we like Bob's Burgers. It's just a silly cartoon show on Sunday nights, but yeah, we like that.
Have you seen Ted Lasso?
Yeah, I love Ted Lasso.
Yeah,
you see, but you see the kind of mentor that Ted Lasso is and how he cares for.
Yeah.
That's it hits me right here. I love that.
I've been telling my wife and my daughters that Ted Lasso is being used for like colleges, university, NBA teams, because you
Yes,
realize, I mean, that's what you need. I mean, you need a people's person and just be able
absolutely.
to motivate. What would you say that is your differentiator? How come you're able to do everything that you're doing right now and more, and some people might not? So what is that it that you have?
All right. So the way I explained it when I bought this business is I'm smart enough to buy a business and dumb enough to actually do it. To actually pull the trigger. And I don't want to say dumb enough, but it's just I don't wait till I'm 100% sure, right? And people think that could be reckless, and it can be if you're only 30% sure. I wait till I'm like 60 or 70% sure, and then I just go, because you have to take action. You have to start moving in that direction. Otherwise, you're never going to move. If you wait till you're 100% sure on anything, you're going to have analysis paralysis. You're going to sit back. You're not going to do anything. And then you're going to wonder why everybody's passing you by. It's because they take action. And if you don't know what action to take, get yourself in a room where other people are doing what you want to do and get inspiration. Hear what people are doing and say, oh, wow, that's actually pretty cool. I'm not going to do it exactly like that, but I could kind of do it the way I want to do it. That's what I'm doing in private equity. People are telling me, oh, you can't do private equity this way. Why not? You do whatever you want. As long as you structure it this way. And the way I have it structured, people are like really into it. They said, this is great. I'm like, yeah. And I win, you win, everybody wins. So that's why I'm so excited about it, because I don't see a scenario where, unless everything just kind of tanks, right? But that's the worst case scenario in everything. Everything goes according to plan. It's beautiful. It's a beautiful thing.
I heard that phrase, make the move, take the decision when you have like 70%, the percentage that you gave. You just don't wait for the 100%. I don't know who said it, but I remember who someone.
So there's an article I can send you. It's called the ETO score, the ETTO score, right? And it's a studied phenomenon. Especially like with computer programmers, right? If you're a computer programmer and you wait till your program is 100% ready to be distributed on an app, it's gonna take you infinitely longer, because what you want to do is you want to put it out there, you want to see what's wrong, fix what's wrong, so that you can get the second version and the third version out, right? If you wait that much longer till you think it's 100% done, it's gonna take you that much longer to find out what's not right about it. And so because it's never going to be 100%. You're never going to be 100%.
No.
You could get to 70% and then just go from there. And that's where you have to rely on yourself and your skill sets to get you through to the other 30%. So that's my biggest thing. Take action.
And we can see that, definitely. Where can we find more about you? How can we follow you? Because it seems it's going to be an amazing journey. Obviously, like every journey is going to be ups and downs. But we'd like to be be able to see the process, how everything evolves.
So my website is svgnj.com. So I'm Syndicate Venture Group. That's the name of my private equity firm.
Okay.
I am getting my website redeveloped, because the one that I have isn't really financially forward, right? So it's done by like a regular website developer. But I have a professional team that does nothing but financial websites and investment websites. So they're redoing my, I actually have a meeting with them in a half hour. So, I'm meeting with them, but they're putting it together. That's probably the best place. I have the social media, but they're taking care of all that as well. I'm not that big on social media. I need to be. Sure. And so, but yeah, it's Syndicate Venture Group. And that's the best place that you can find me. Yeah.
Oh, we forgot to mention the Puerto Rican parade in New York City. So you have
so I'm getting a float in the Puerto Rican Day Parade. I have the VP of the Chamber of Commerce for Puerto Rico coming out. Cody Sanchez, I invited her. She said she may make it to the float. And this is because I'm doing a major community give back to Puerto Rico also,
Sure.
I like I said, I'm figuring it out. I'm defining what I'm going to do. But I mean, that's, like I said, half my heritage. And so I want to really help that island in a big way. And there's a big play on what I'm going to do there. It's going to be a beautiful thing. I can't wait to describe that on the next podcast, maybe. I don't know.
Definitely. Yeah. Congratulations. And usually that's what you need. You need something bigger than yourself to motivate you, because things are going to happen and obstacles. And obviously, you know that already. And if you don't have the like really big mission, like what you mentioned before in terms of your mom, and then here because of the island, because of the feeling that you have, because of your heritage. So that's what I was gonna push you when things will become harder. And
that's exactly right. Yeah.
Okay. So, my friend, thank you very much. Don't go away. I want to say bye to you in a few seconds. I'm gonna keep you out here, and to all of you, thank you one more time for staying with us. I want to invite you to sign up in our YouTube channel. You haven't done it yet, and we're gonna be back next week with another guest. I'm gonna be talking about different parts of the industry. Today we didn't talk about as much as real estate, but the concept that we talk with our guests, it is apply. We can apply it in real estate. It's pretty much the same, just the different asset class. And instead of real estate, in this case, it's a business, which pretty much the same concept. So God bless you all. God bless you all. And remember that the family is the base of society, and our goal is to provide families with the education and the systems and the opportunity to become financially free, investing in real estate or in businesses, as you guys see today. So God bless you all. See you all next week.